Good evening, or afternoon, or morning. What does it take to set Zimbabwe free? It takes faith, and right now it takes waiting. Faith entails waiting on the Lord. When there's nothing you can do but you tarry in Jerusalem, waiting for the day of Pentecost, for the day when you will receive power, or on the day when things are going to start happening. Let me tell you something. Something is going to happen in Zimbabwean politics. Something that's not going to be influenced by what I'm saying or what you are saying or doing, but something that is going to be influenced by forces that are beyond our own understanding or knowledge or wisdom or comprehension. That will happen. That which will happen will lead to the freedom of the country, and there's nothing that ZANU PF can do about it. You see, here's the thing about the eternal God is that all of his things are eternal. His nature is eternal. ZANU PF believes that it is an authoritarian government which has got total power. It doesn't exist in the expanse of the universe. You are only totally in power according to what your eye or vision can perceive. ZPF has got no scope of what is beyond their reasoning range. So they do have a range of reason and insight, and in that range, they find themselves fully covered in Zimbabwe, and they look at the global infrastructure and global systems and global alliances, and they feel safe, but they do not know that beyond what they see, there is other entities and other dimensions and other influences, other influencers that might be find ZANU-PF repulsive and have more power than ZANU-PF. Let's not talk about the universe. Let's just talk about Earth itself. Do you know that there are some other powerful people in Africa and outside Africa who find ZANU-PF repulsive? As much as Idi Mnangagwa is relying on his stronghold on the Zimbabwe military, the intelligence, and the police, does he not know that even some of his friends who sit with him on the same table, making deals with him, smiling and shaking hands with him, actually despise him and despise his regime because his regime is not allowing them to do things or stuff or interests that they would like to pursue in Zimbabwe? When we talk about special interests, you must understand that all countries are governed by certain special interests. And just because those special interests are governing, it does not mean that other interests have got no ability to remove them or to replace them. You might look at Zimbabwe and think that it is just land with minerals on the ground, and the special interests, as we have now come to recognize, are those miners that are really concentrated on the mining lithium, gold, diamond, and other mineral resources that are on the land of Zimbabwe. And they have forgotten the people that call that place home. And therefore, their interests really are on the massive wealth extraction of the land. And whilst we are at it, they have allowed themselves to use the citizenry as slaves, whether to sell them as cheap wage labor force to foreign nations via giving them excessively expensive $200 passports, or overcharging them on taxes, including the recent crazy tax on spectacles, which makes life difficult for those that have got eye problems. If ZANU-PF has its way, I'm telling you, it would charge people to breathe even oxygen. But unfortunately for them, they've got no monopoly over oxygen. But if there was a technology on how to control oxygen, the ZANU-PF will sell oxygen to the Zimbabweans. And if you do not adhere to their demands, they will suck the living hell out of you. You will be deoxygenated. Now, talking about this special interests that I say that are, are resting on their laurels and not willing to develop the nation. You see, the economy is something which is strange. Do you know that individuals, people themselves, are a mine with a source of wealth? There is some people that want to mine the wealth of the Zimbabweans, persons, not the land, but the people, the brain capacity of the Zimbabweans, the ingenuity of our people. They actually are a gold mine on their own right. But that gold mine cannot be mined right now because it is refusing to build a proper country. So what happened is we have got what we call a brain drain. A brain drain allows the ingenuity of the Zimbabweans to work for economies that are outside this country, to be controlled by the political entities or apparatus that are outside Zimbabwe. But one thing that you need to know is that even as Zimbabweans, there is a certain position that we occupy on this earth that some powerful interests might found to be something explorable. For example, do you know that in the nations like the United States or United Kingdom or China or Russia, there are powerful people who find themselves arrested or limited in their countries. In UK, there are billionaires in UK who are limited. There are billionaires in China who are limited. There's even billionaires and successful people in the United States itself who are also limited by the governance system of the United States and therefore would seek another country where they can express themselves much more freely. Maybe they want to uh, expand globally in a certain way, but being domiciled in the United States, being United States citizen, causes them to face some sort of restrictions. Imagine if they had a country, Zimbabwe, a new Zimbabwe, not this one with Edim Nangako, a new Zimbabwe that I always speak about. Imagine if they stop being American citizens and just adopt Zimbabwean citizenship. Take a look at someone like an Elon Musk. I'm not saying Elon Musk could do that. Imagine if Elon Musk becomes a Zimbabwean citizen. But let's not consider Elon Musk because I don't think that he's got that interest because for now the US government is doing well for him. I'm just giving you an example because I do not know who's going through this, but I know that there's some people who are going through it. There is probably some billionaire somewhere in USA, a lot of them, who are dissatisfied with the politics of Washington and they want to belong to another country. They've been taxed enough already in the United States and they want to be citizens of another country. Whether it's in Africa or in Asia, they don't care. As long as it is a country that is going to give them the freedoms that their own government is seeking. And if they look at a particular position or a particular country like Zimbabwe, and they will say, well, we could call Zimbabwe home. The problem is ZANU-PF. Okay, how can we remove ZANU-PF from power? Because what this ED fellow is doing cannot work for us. Aliko Dangote, the richest man in Africa, is a Nigerian, right? I'm hearing stories about how he has been trying to invest in Zimbabwe. I remember the time when Dangote came to Harare. Nothing came out of it. And I'm hearing that people like him, other African billionaires, like Nigerian billionaires and other billionaires in Africa, when they come to Zimbabwe, what they struggle with is the Zimbabwean government. The Zimbabwean government seems to thrive in seeing its people suffering. I'll tell you what it is. The people that are in government in Zimbabwe, that are running government, are not creative. Okay. One thing that they lack is creativity. So the moment that they see something that is going on, like there's a diamond mine, there's a gold mine, to them is low hanging fruits, and anything, any developmental ideas are a distraction to their easy target, which is a gold mine. They're just looking for mines, these people. Eh, there's now lithium in Zimbabwe. It's easy for them. Just mine the lithium and sell to the Chinese. Simple and straightforward. You do not need to crack your head like Mark Zuckerberg and come up with Facebook. You don't need to crack your head like Jeff Bezos and figure out how to get Amazon to compete in different commodities. Blah blah blah. That's too hard for them. Just grab. Just smash and grab. That is the ideology of General Chiwenga, Itim Nankako, and the people that surround him. They're not creative. And then come along someone like Aliko Dangote, who is creative. And then he says, Zimbabwe, nice country. I'm very creative. I'm a businessman and I'm an entrepreneur. I've got other billionaires in Nigeria. We can really begin to develop Southern Africa this way. We can develop these industries this way. We can make money this way. Our people will benefit. The Zimbabwean people will benefit this way and that way and that way. And the plan is sort of like too difficult for the Harare regime. It's like, yeah, they look at you. They're like, no, we're not gonna go through this. This is just too much. We just want gold, mine, chete, and then we just sell to the Chinese. That's it. They don't want complicated stuff. Okay, but then the Dangote team will say, well, but then at the end it's gonna aid your people. Your people are gonna get out of poverty. Oh, that's the problem. ZANU PF does not want Zimbabweans to get out of poverty, because a Zimbabwean population that gets out of poverty will become politically powerful, financially powerful, and they will be able to remove them from power. And they fear to be removed from power because out of power, they do not know how else to make money. You see, power is a mechanism in which ZANU PF people make money. Without power, they can't make money. They do not. Does not have business acumen. So if he's not in power, he does not know how his company that sells milk can still and remain relevant. I mean, the guy sells milk that is cow milk from a cow. For him to make profit, he has to use presidential powers to act against other milk producers. If he's no longer president, his company's faults will come out. We will see who is swimming naked. And because he fails in business, and they know it, that they are not talented when it comes to business, so they will rather keep power by force, so that they will declare themselves winners by force. The Zanu PF government reminds me of that Borat's movie. You know Borat? He did a movie when he was the king of this fictional country in the one of those tiny countries, those Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, don't. Remember that movie by Borat, when he would go to 100 meters carrying a gun. He's a president. He will run first, and all the runners will be running behind him. If they run in front of him, he shoots them. Exactly. That's what Itim Nangagwa is. He is Borat. Him and the crew behind him. At the at the end of it, if you are going to ask me, what is it? What is ZANU PF? What is this thing all about? At the end of the day, it's just like Borat. It's about business. It's about making money. But because they cannot compete in a free market environment, and they know that they will lose, they don't have the talents, and they don't have the understanding, the knowledge, the wisdom, the business acumen, and all that stuff. So politics to them becomes an escape pathway, whereby, okay, I cannot beat you in this business. Okay, it's fine. I'm going to shoot you if you're better than me. Whoever is becoming better than me, I'm going to persecute you either way. Look at what they did to Strive Massive. If it was not for strife, praying, fasting, and going to the mountain, the Lord helped him to establish Econet. If it wasn't for that, he too they would have destroyed him. Imagine how many Zimbabwean billionaires and multimillionaires on strategic companies that we would have had we not had ZANU-PF in power. Right now, they have reigned in on Nelson Chamisa and the Triple C, and they have actually, like a snake wraps around its victim. The Triple C cannot do anything, really. The Triple C is paralyzed, completely paralyzed, because the Zimbabweans have been told to follow Chete Chete, of which Chete Chete will never tell them the truth. The truth is, you need a real revolution. But the real revolution will not come under current configuration of a triple C led by Nelson Chamisa, who has warmed himself up to the elements in the Zimbabwean regime so that he can bring peace unto himself, but they still are suffering in the nation. So I'm saying this because I want you to expand your wisdom, or to expand the way that you think, to begin to see that interests are varied, they are many, they're diverse. There is other business interests, okay, and other interests that are just not, that are not business, that I do not know about also. But there is business interests, whether in Africa or outside Africa, that will thrive in a Zimbabwe without ZANU-PF. In a Zimbabwe where there's a free market environment, a free market environment will allow those that are talented to thrive. You thrive because you are talented. You don't thrive because you're politically connected. Talented people, educated people are smart people who want to get things done in a smart way. Havati mhiri zhonga chijambanja. We call those things foreign investors. Foreign investment is smart foreign money that wants to come in the country and create value. For us to unlock tremendous value in Zimbabwe, it is clear to the global market system that we need to eliminate ZANU-PF and Itim Nangagwa's government from existence and usher in a new dominance in politics that is characterized by political leaders that value free market values, property rights, and that will unlock desirability of our nation to all stakeholders across the globe. One thing that this planet does not lack is money. The planet can lack food, actually, even food, we don't lack it. The planet may lack some other resources, but one thing we do not lack is money. It is capital. The planet is awash with financial capital. What is lacking is an appropriate home for that capital to find relevance, for that capital to begin to work appropriately. The new Zimbabwe that I am proposing to lead could be or will be that place, that capital, global capital, could call home. The new Zimbabwe obviously belongs to the Zimbabweans who are naturally born citizens, but at the same time, it is a governmental entity or agency that allows citizens of the world who have got interests in the kind of values that we believe in to be important even for them to find space to succeed. A lot of, let me use that word, nonsense out there hinders a lot of entrepreneurs to prosper. Some of the nonsense include racism. You've got a brilliant idea, but you are a black skinned Indian. They call you a, which is the name that they give to these dark skinned Indians? They call them, well, I forgot what they call them. These dark skinned Indians who are not even liked even in India. Maybe you are in the United States, we are in the United Kingdom, you look Indian. Rishi Sunak is a prime minister of the United Kingdom. That doesn't mean that all Indians in the UK still don't face racism. Governance system itself can institutionalized racism that can cause you not to be able to go ahead. So that color barrier is something that any governance institution should be able to address. Maybe it's because you're a woman, therefore your ideas or your strategies are not listened to. Or it's because of your religious affiliation. Perhaps you are Hindu or you are Christian and you are in a non-Christian nation that hinders your progress. Or maybe it's your choice of who you want to fall in love with, just because the society that you come from does not approve of it. Therefore, it punishes you on other elements of your life. Many of these silly things that humanity has found itself yoked by are things that I envision would be addressed in the new Zimbabwe that I envision. A Zimbabwe that is free for all people to succeed. It reminds me of what the Americans called in the last century the American dream. The American dream was a promise of freedom by the United States government to its citizens. Freedom to financially succeed, buy a house in the suburbs, buy a car, marry your wife, start your family, and have unlimited potential to prosper not only in the United States but also to participate in a global economy that the United States military would protect for the American citizens. Plugging from that American dream ideology, do I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, the mindset or the blueprint of the republic that we want to build. But before that happens, you must know very well the painful truth. Idimna nangakwa enza no-PF must go. I do not know who you are. I do not know where you are. But whoever you are, wherever you are, with the little capital that we have, whether it is financial capital or is political capital or is connections, I needed to connect the dots. I needed to put an effort that you can put wherever you are, whether you are working for the United Nations, whether you are working in the United States government, or you are in the British government, or you are in the Zimbabwean CIO, or you are in the US military, or you are actually a Chinese billionaire, or you are a Russian oligarch, or you are some Japanese businessman in California who is struggling to find relevance in a very antagonistic state. I'm your guy. We need to use the package or idea of nation states is a way in which we could have all these different manifestations of, of nations. Through the use of the new Zimbabwe that I'm proposing, we could create a state, a global state for that matter, that has always been the desire of our global citizens. There is a certain perfect state that we've been looking for, but we have come to make do with the country in which you were born in. But if that state that was always in your mind were to come to existence, you wouldn't mind being part of it. It's becoming more and more clear to me that for a successful Zimbabwe to be born, it needs to emphasize that it's not just a country for the suffering black Zimbabweans, but it is a country also for the paining global citizens. There's many citizens who were naturally born in many countries around the world. Those that are not successful, and those that are even extremely successful, who are facing various kinds of limitations or painful experiences due to their nationality or skin color or religious affiliation or sexual orientation or any other ism that causes them to be discriminated. They do seek a country. The Bible talks about men like Abraham and other prophets during his time, who are men who were looking for a certain country whose builder is the Lord. It begins to inform me that there is a certain political ideology that has already been built on the psyche or on the inside of these righteous men. And when they look around and see the political realities that they're living under, they begin to see that it is not really what is on the inside of them. And therefore they seek that particular country whose builder is the Lord. What the Bible calls the New Jerusalem. We can take the Bible quite literal to mean that there is a New Jerusalem that is in heaven that we'll get to when we die. But also we can also understand it this way, that the New Jerusalem that is whose builder is the Lord is a country that the people of righteousness are going to come together and declare that country into existence. The builder is the Lord, because the Lord will be working through his people who will build this country, this New Jerusalem. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the New Zimbabwe, which is the New Jerusalem. We always say New Zimbabwe, but I want to say it again this way, that it is also the New Jerusalem, whose builder is the Lord. And the Lord works through the sons and daughters of the Lord. So I present to you, I propose you, that this New Jerusalem should start in Zimbabwe. Whether it will expand or not, it will be up to you, the sons and daughters of that New Jerusalem. But one thing we have to know, for all that to happen, and you have to make it happen whichever way you see it fit, whichever way you deem it necessary. Modern day Israel came into existence through the declaration of the British Empire. The British sponsored the dominance the establishment of Israel in the Middle East. After the Jewish people have been roaming around Europe and the world for over 2,000 years. The Zimbabwe nationals, them too, just like the Jews, have been roaming around throughout the earth. Their state is still there, but for all intents and purposes, they don't have it. It has gone to the dogs. We should make the same appeal to the same British Empire to send the Zimbabweans back to Harare to empower and equip the Zimbabweans, just like they empowered and equipped our ally and friend Israel to take back the land of Palestine. It is necessary for a powerful force like the British Empire to empower these young Zimbabweans and these global citizens to engineer this new Zimbabwe that I call this new Jerusalem. We are aware of the other greater powers that are manipulating events in Harare. But the United Kingdom must make a decision not to play second fiddle to the Chinese. For folding your hands, O King Charles III, we will see China dominate and even destroying the faith which you are supposed to protect. The protector of the faith, or the defender of the faith, as King Charles III rightfully is, should come to a realization that countering Chinese dominance in the region is part and parcel of the calling. You are not just called to enjoy tea and biscuits in the palace, but if you are king or King Charles, you are called to fight. And to fight a war. Holy is the Lord, God Almighty, the God of war. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ngobani Zondo, and I am running to be the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, to replace Idi Mnangagwa and the occultic ZANU-PF regime from power. Have a blessed day.